Well, it looks like Fox News has got some splaining to do. Some splaining. Because if you haven't been following this, Dominion Voting Systems is suing Fox News. And this past Thursday, they released this complaint legal brief in which they claim that Fox News maliciously tried to mislead the public and discredit Dominion Voting Systems, who also in that same brief claimed that they had no connection to, what was it, Smart Solutions, or whatever this company was. People thought that those two companies were connected, but they're claiming in this brief that no, they're not connected. In fact, they sued them twice 10 years ago. So they're not based out of Venezuela. That's what they're saying in this legal brief. But the most explosive thing to come out of this is that Trump tried to call into Fox News on January 6, 2021, and the network refused to let him on. Now, if this is true, that means that Trump was not trying to engage in insurrection or overthrow the government. Now, he may have been protesting the results of the election, which he has a constitutional right to do, but it would show that Trump was trying to somehow diffuse the situation. So, in their effort to discredit Fox News, Dominion Voting Systems is actually giving credit to Trump here. Now, this isn't to say that Trump is perfect or that he didn't make any missteps, because he did. But this is a Business Insider story by Aliyah Shawab, last name Shoaib. And this came out the 18th, February 18th. Trump tried to call into Fox News as the Capitol riot unfolded, but the network refused to put him on air, new filing claims. Here's some of the highlights of the article. Donald Trump tried to call into Fox News as the Capitol riot unfolded, a court filing claims. Network executives refused to put him on air as they thought it would be irresponsible. Why would that be irresponsible? That's probably the best thing that Fox News could have done, was put Trump on January 6, 2021. The claims were part of Dominion Voting Systems' defamation lawsuit against the network. Article starts out, Donald Trump tried to call into Fox News on January 6, 2021, as his supporters stormed the Capitol building, but the network refused to put him on air, according to a new court filing. Network executives believe, quote, it would be irresponsible to put him on the air and that it could impact a lot of people in a negative way. The filing notes, citing testimony from Fox News Business Network President Lauren Peterson. Well, Lauren, this is the best thing you could have done, was put Trump on. The revelation was made in a 200-page Thursday filing by Dominion Voting Systems, their lawyers, as part of their defamation lawsuit against the network. Now, I went through this briefing, through this complaint, what they're claiming here. And folks, some of the language that's used in this document, if I were a lawyer, I would have told these people to go back and rewrite it. Because if you're making all these claims against Fox News and saying things like maliciously, you got to be very careful, because Fox News, as they've done, can turn around and sue you. And now Fox News is saying this is a matter of free speech. We show different points of view here. Now, to be fair here, Fox News is reporting what's happening at the time. But they're claiming in this brief that people like Laura Ingraham, Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, they all knew that Trump lost. And they were talking about this in private. And they were dissing Sidney Powell. But it seems like more of the evidence points to people like Sidney Powell than it does Trump. But if it were me, I would have gone back and had these lawyers rewrite that document. Because it came off as a diatribe. They were saying that people were dying on January 6th. That was the implication. Destruction and death, insurrection. Well, that shouldn't be in that legal document if your only complaint is that Fox News said something bad about Dominion Voting Systems and that it cost your company money. And the only person who died January 6th was Ashley Babbitt, who was a Trump supporter. That's the only person who died on January 6th. You may have had some people who were injured, but Ashley Babbitt was the only person who was killed on January 6th was Ashley Babbitt by a Capitol Police officer. Now, the House Select Committee that investigated the January 6th attack did not know that Trump had made the call to Lou Dobbs' Business Network show, a source told CNN. So you can also find another article about this at CNN. To CNN's credit, they actually wrote a pretty fair article. I know that's rare for CNN, but they did write a fairly assessment of, pardon me, I can't get the words out, a fair assessment of this lawsuit. So it's a good article if you go check that out at CNN. Also, CNBC is covering this, The Independent. So there's different sources, and including the Business Insider, which is more of a conservative magazine. So Trump was planning to go on Lou Dobbs' show. But the executive said, no, we're not going to have that. We can't have Trump on Fox News. Dominion lawyers wrote in the filing, quote, the afternoon of January 6th, after the Capitol came under attack, then President Trump dialed into Lou Dobbs' show attempting to get on air, but Fox executives vetoed that decision. Why? Not because of a lack of newsworthiness. January 6th was an important event by any measure. President Trump not only was the sitting president, he was the key figure that day. Exactly. So the guy that this whole thing is about, January 6th, should have been on the air on Lou Dobbs' show on Fox News. The lawyers argued that while the network chose not to put Trump on air because it was irresponsible and could negatively impact people, this did not stop them from airing a conspiracy theory that the election technology company helped rig the 2020 presidential election. Reading this to you cold, so please bear with me. Quote, not only did the charges severely impact Dominion and its employees, they were based on verifiable falsehoods that any accurate and disinterested reporting would have mentioned, the filing said. Well, they're going to really have to prove that. Dominion's going to have to prove that Fox News intentionally and maliciously, as they claim, engaged in promoting false information about the 2020 election. That's what Dominion's going to have to prove, and that somehow it damaged their credibility as a company. Dominion's lawsuit, which is seeking $1.6 billion in damages, alleges the network chose to air election fraud claims to serve its commercial interest, and that this led to Dominion being vilified and its employees facing harassment and death threats. Now, that's the other thing that's missing from that legal brief is who received these death threats. Now, they do mention, I guess, some emails or texts that may have been sent to Dominion, but they don't mention where they came from. You've got to mention that in a legal document, in a complaint. They don't. Fox News has defended itself, arguing that it fairly reported on the massive news story that the sitting president of the United States was making claims of widespread voter fraud. Well, that's not what President Trump was doing at the time. He was protesting the results of an election, which he has a constitutional right to do. Again, that isn't saying that he did missteps or he did make the right decision in a lot of ways here. I'm just saying he was exercising his constitutional right to protest the results of an election, which every candidate has the right to do. Quote, Dominion's motion for summary judgment takes an extreme and unsupported view of defamation law and rests on an accounting of the facts that has no basis in the record, a Fox News spokesperson told Insider about Thursday's court filing. Quote, Dominion has mischaracterized the record, cherry-picking quotes, stripped of key context, and spilled considerable ink on facts that are irrelevant under black-letter principles of defamation law. So Fox News is going to have to show that what was said about Dominion voting systems, what was said about the 2020 election, was said in this particular context during these interviews, aired at this time. They're going to have to prove all that. So what they're doing is trying to hide behind the First Amendment. So this is going to be fun to watch. It really is. One last paragraph here. The lengthy court filing also cites text messages between Fox News hosts and executives in which they privately mocked pro-Trump election fraud conspiracy theories despite continuing to air them. So again, this is a Business Insider. The big news of the day here, if in fact this were true, Trump tried to call into Fox News on January 6, 2021, but Fox News refused to have him on. I'd like to know why. That probably would have been the best thing that they could have done, is have President Trump on Fox News on January 6th. Would have explained a lot, would have most likely diffused the situation. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you know what to do. You can also follow me at Instagram, #JasonComposes, because I write music in my spare time. Or find me at Twitter, Culture Confederacy at Twitter. This is the Culture Confederacy saying peace out. Stay safe, everybody. God bless this thing we call the United States. And you know how we do it here. This is where the past crashes with the present. I'll catch you next time.